Item number SCP-3744. Object Class Euclid. Special Containment Procedures. SCP-3744 is to be housed within a standard humanoid containment unit in Site-88. The containment unit is to be monitored via standard CCTV surveillance. Any changes in its behavior are to be noted and reported immediately. SRA is to be active within the containment unit at all times and should maintain a human level of 80, except when 3744 is utilizing its socialization privileges. 3744 may engage in a supervised socialization for no longer than 5 hours weekly. During this time, 4 D-class personnel with knowledge of tabletop role-playing games should engage 3744 in a session of Dungeons & Dragons. In order to allow for study of 3744's abilities, the SRA present in its containment chamber may be lowered to human level 10. All sessions should be supervised electronically via security camera footage. Personnel are encouraged to remain in character and to maintain an amicable relationship with 3744. Socialization privileges may be revoked if 3744 ceases compliance with Foundation testing. Edit. Foundation policy regarding 3744's Dungeons & Dragons sessions have been revised post-incident 3744-01. During future sessions, a Scranton reality anchor with human levels of 40 is required. Additionally, all participants in future campaigns must be pre-approved C-class personnel. Description: SCP-3744 is a 23-year-old human male who weighs 76 kilograms and stands at a height of 1.8 meters. During sessions of the tabletop role-playing game Dungeons & Dragons, 3744 exhibits Class 4 reality bending abilities, which it typically utilizes for the purposes of increasing the game's realism. These abilities include being able to expand or contract the inner dimensions of an enclosed space. Footnote 1. Changes to a space's internal dimensions do not affect its external dimensions. Now manifesting objects and living entities, and imparting anomalous properties to its subjects within its effective range. This range is limited to the enclosed space it inhabits. It is unable to use its abilities while outdoors. Outside of a Dungeons & Dragons setting, 3744 has not yet demonstrated any anomalous abilities of significance. It has thus far demonstrated full cooperation with Foundation personnel. On June 24, 2015, 3744 was taken into custody by a local police enforcement in Lake Geneva, Wisconsin, as a result of a 911 call made by Andy M. Blank, 3744's older brother, who asserted that he had been attacked by 3744 and feared future physical violence to his person. M. Blank additionally made claims regarding 3744's anomalous abilities. Foundation agents were subsequently dispatched to investigate, and recovery of 3744 took place without incident. Excerpts from interview 3744-02. Interviewer: Researcher Mercer. Interviewed: SCP-3744. Forward: the following excerpt was taken from a series of interviews conducted shortly after 3744 was brought into Foundation custody. Begin log. Hello, SCP-3744. I'm Researcher Mercer. I understand you've spoken with some of my colleagues already. Thank you again for your cooperation with us in this matter. Hey, no problem, ma'am. Let's start with talking about your anomalous abilities, if it's okay with you. When did you first discover them? Oh, ages ago. Back when I was a kid. I am, not very good with people, I guess. Had a hard time making friends my own age, you know. You probably do know that. But you were even worse than me. Scientists and all. Bunch of nerds, right? So my brother used to include me in his friend group. Whenever his friends were going to play Dungeons & Dragons, he'd invite me along. And it was always cool like that. You're referring to your older brother, Mr. Andy M. Blank? The same brother who made the 911 call which brought you to our attention? Ah, yeah. We'll come back to that later. Tell me about Dungeons and Dragons. How is it related to the discovery of your abilities? Oh, that's a real nice memory. Is that so? Yeah. Our first session, I was having the time of my life, you know. All these older kids were being nice to me, and we were having this big adventure. They had this awesome dragon miniature. I couldn't resist touching it, and as soon as I picked it up, it does this huge roar and spits a fireball at me. Singed my jacket real good. You said earlier that you've only used your abilities in a tabletop RPG settings. Is that correct? Yeah. My brother and his friends thought it was awesome, so we kept practicing until I could turn our living room into an actual dragon's den. Why didn't you see your abilities outside the games? I'm not sure if I can anymore, you know. I could at one point, but one time I tried to use them to, well, there was this guy at school who was giving me a hard time. I just wanted to scare him a little. When Andy found out, he flipped his lid. Your brother didn't approve? Nah, Andy didn't want me to show anyone but our D&D group. Said it was too dangerous, that someone could get hurt or scared. I thought he was being an idiot, but he was so angry. He's always been the only one on my side. I loved the powers at first, but after that, I just wanted them to go away, and they did. All of them. Except the bits that he liked, the D&D bits. Brother means a lot to you. Yeah, I never wanted to disappoint him. Not like that. Not like this. Never like this. And he was right all along. I should have been more careful. Why did your brother make that 911 call, 3744? It should have been a normal session. We were on this sailboat, and the goblins, attacked just like they were supposed to. Then one of the goblins gets Andy all tangled up in a net and knocks him into the whaler. Knocks him into the water. He starts drowning. Not fake drowning. Like the kind of fake blood tricks we've done before. It was real water, you know. And he was really drowning. He survived, though. Yeah, he survived. But he almost didn't. He'd been under for a long time. When we fished him out, he was unconscious. He almost died. If I'd been a few seconds slower, he would have. Afterwards, he was angry. And he was right to be angry. He nearly drowned in our living room, for God's sake. His own brother nearly killed him. I see. I kept dreaming of him like that, just lying there, with tangled wet hair and cold, clammy skin. His lips were blue when we pulled him out. Did you know that? Like a dead person's? 3744. Of course, I came quietly. Even Andy thinks I deserve to be here. I just don't want to hurt anyone else. Addendum 3744.1, Incident 3744-01. SES 3744-01 is the designation for the initial series of Dungeons & Dragons game sessions moderated by 3744. The other participants in SES 3744-01 were D3744-1 as a barbarian, D3744-2 as a druid, 3744-3 as a paladin, and D3744-4 as a cleric. 3744 appeared uncomfortable with the level of violence and general behavior that D3744-011 and D-3744-3 demonstrated throughout this campaign. Incident 3744-01 took place on December 1st, 2015, immediately following SCS 3744-1.015. The Royal Event section of SCS 3744-01.015 has been excerpted below. Video log. The dates. December 1st, 2015. Barbarian, Druid, Paladin, and Cleric as player characters. 3744 as Dungeon Master. Forward, 3744 had tasked the players with escorting a humanoid child entity serving as a non-player character, NPC 3744-18, to a city via boat. Begin log. Dressed in character-appropriate costumes. Barbarian, Druid, Paladin, and the Cleric. Board a ship. NPC 3744-18 accompanies them. It appears to be struggling to keep up with the pace of the 4 D-class personnel due to his short stature. While 3744 does not appear to be physically present, his voice remains audible. Gentle waves slap against your ship as you lead the towards Desina and set up towards the city of Sorendale to escort the prince towards his home. Okay, so do we just sit around and wait for us to get here? To get there? Well, yeah. Jesus fuck. I thought this was supposed to be exciting. Excited. Well, maybe if you guys would stop killing every important NPC that I introduced, you'd be able to have your adventure in Desina, instead of having to travel all the way to Sorendale for your adventure. The Paladin and 3744 argue back and forth briefly, before 3744 finally relents. 3744-1 and 3744-3 amuse themselves by drinking copious amounts of rum, and initiating a gambling session with 3744-2, in which they utilize intimidation tactics to coerce 3744-2 into giving up valuable gear. 3744-4 disappears below deck and reemerges with a novel, which he begins to read. NPC 3744-18 huddles against the ship's mast, appearing terrified. The waves against the ship start getting more pronounced and more violent. Guys, something's happening. The fuck? Well, go check out the side. D-3744-2 tentatively approaches the side of the boat. An enormous tentacle rises from the water and strikes him across the chest. Holy shit! Kill it! The other players' characters scramble to their feet, readying their weapons. 3744-1 produces a long sword and slices the appendage. He rears back and slips back into the water. There's no way in hell that it actually worked. The seas begin to rumble. An aquatic entity resembling a giant octopus emerges from the ocean, sending a shower of salt water onto the boat. It lashes out with one tentacle, striking D-744-1 and sending him flying off the boat. It then catches him mid-air with another tentacle and dangles him above its gaping mouth. Bring me a meal, and perhaps I shall spare his life. -2, -3, -4, and NPC 3744-18 regroup to discuss what they should do as the conversation progresses. -3's dissatisfaction with the conversation's direction grows increasingly apparent. Calm down, man. There's no way it wants that. Look, it's obvious what we're meant to do. Let's just give the squid a rations and don't be such a goddamn coward. It's not even a real kid, okay? -3 grabs -18 by the wrist. The entity shrieks and begins sobbing. No, please, let me go. I'll do anything. I thought I could pay you. You can't be serious. It's not. Ignoring -18 screams and the horrified reactions of -2 and -4, -3 physically drags -18 to the edge of the ship and shoves it into the water. It flares in midair briefly before hitting the water with a splash. After a few seconds, -18 resurfaces flailing above the water and screaming. He's drowning. Abruptly, all non-players' characters and components of this setting go unnaturally still. The only sound audible is 3744's rapid breathing as it begins to hyperventilate. Movement resumes. The sea begins to churn furiously, causing the boat to rock precariously from side to side and throwing the D-3744-2, -3, and -4 across the deck. The aquatic entity vanishes, sending -1 plummeting into the sea. -18 begins screaming once more. A few seconds later, the water turns blood red and abruptly fills with thousands of gasping, thrashing bodies, flickering in and out of existence. The sky above blinks out of existence, and then returns as a hanging canopy of damp, self-encrusted hair. -4 is the only D-Class personnel still visible on the video feed. He hangs precariously to the starboard side of the ship, soaking wet and half entangled in the air. Oh God, make it stop! The entire setting abruptly vanishes, with the containment unit reappearing with its original dimensions. The 4 D-Class personnel are clustered together on one end of the unit, all apparently unconscious except for -4, who is on his knees. 3744 on the other end, breathing heavily, pale-faced. 3744-4 stretches out a hand towards 3744. That was... Jesus Christ, man. Are you okay? I can't. 3744 crashes to the ground and curls up into a fetal position with his head in his knees. It is unresponsible for any further questioning. Subsequently, new policies were put in place regarding further Dungeons & Dragons sessions, including a higher human level setting for the screen-attended reality anchor in 3744's chambers, and stricter regulations regarding participants in future campaigns. End of entry.